Oh, it is a huge difference. Last year, we did the endurance race at Pittsburgh on the SB, and I did the practice the Friday before on my ZX10, and I felt like I could check emails going down the straightaway while I was
Yeah.
on the SB. Just it definitely helped kind of for the endurance race, just because you know things still happen quickly, but not near as fast as they happen on the ZX10. It is actually the most random thing ever,
Yeah.
really. I never really rode anything with two wheels and a motor in my life up until I was around 22, and I was kind of saving up for a sports car, and ended up just going to a dealership with a friend of mine. We're just like, hey, let's uh let's act like we're gonna get motorcycles and see what kind of deal we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, that guy was a heck of a salesman, because we both walked out with two new motorcycles.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're definitely a guy that has the pace to be out there with us. You were a quick guy. You were a guy that I was chasing there.
Somebody to see this one day and be like, hey, we should give that guy a ride.
I'll back that up. Somebody should give that guy a ride.
Thank you, man.
Um,
It means a lot.
I'd love to see you out in super sport or something like that. It's a class that we race together in the 600s, so I know it's something you could get figured out and get out there and do at a competitive level too. Maybe I can hear you now.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, there it goes. What's up?
Good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in probably at least 2 years.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been a while.
Yeah, you're looking good though. You're looking like you're been working out a lot.
A little bit, yeah.
You're a personal trainer now, right?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Personal trainer by trade.
Yep, yep. So definitely keeps me busy. Um, Helps keep me in shape to wrestle around these stock 1000 bikes.
Very good. Yeah, let's go right into it. I'm already recording.
Mhm.
Talk to you, and I like that hat you got on. You got nice Josh Gerardot Racing. Did I butcher that name?
Everybody does.
So, pronunciation of it.
Gerardo.
Gerardo.
Yep.
Gerardo. Okay, very good. You almost need
I've
phonetic.
I've heard everything. I've heard everything under the sun. Somehow even gotten Guerrero out of it.
Oh
So,
yeah, people are struggling. That's for sure.
oh yeah.
So I noticed you had a really cool sponsor I wanted to mention. You had Broaster Chicken come on, and you got them on your lid now.
Yeah.
Looks pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's great to have them on board. They're huge motorcycle fans. Kirk is a former racer himself too, so just him, being at the races. And he hasn't come this year just due to our whole COVID situation and everything. Um, but yeah, it's great to have a company that's kind of outside of the industry be a sponsor, and they're just huge fans of the sport. They've to be on kind of the rider list that they've sponsored is definitely flattering, because guys like Kyle Wyman been sponsored by them. Josh Hayes was for a little bit there too. So yeah,
Some
to
big
kind of
names there.
oh yeah, to have one of my helmets on Kirk's wall with just some of the riders that's there, it's definitely very flattering.
That's great. And for some people who don't know, Josh is now a professional motorcycle racer, and you're racing with MotoAmerica, sanctioned by the FIM, which is a world level, sanctioning body. and
Mm.
it's a high level sport that we're competing at now. And you're still doing some WERA, I think, still doing some endurance racing as well.
Yeah, I'm riding with SWG Motorsports on their SV 650 in the lightweight class, and it's again, everything didn't really go to plan this year for that, because initially it was going to be me and a couple other MotoAmerica riders that were going to compete in that, but everything getting rescheduled. It hasn't really exactly worked out the plan as most things this year has for people.
Right. Yeah. Do they know how many rounds they're going to have for the endurance series this year?
They've had they've had two or three so far. I've only been able to ride at the Roebling round with
Oh
them
yeah.
so far, and I think there's two or three left, and unfortunately, I think they all conflict with Moto America rounds.
Ah, of course.
So yeah, so they've had to find some replacement riders to fill in for us, and who knows, we'll probably give it a try next year. Endurance racing is a lot of fun. You never really know what's going to happen, what the day is going to bring, and anything can happen in 4 hours.
Yeah, or sometimes 6, 8, 12, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've never done a race longer than 4 hours. I really couldn't imagine the the focus riders have to compete in a 12-hour race and a 24-hour race. I know they're rotating in and out, but still, it's just a long time to stay focused.
Long stints, and sometimes at night or in dark and dusk conditions. It's difficult. It's different conditions, and you're also
Yeah.
not riding a bike that's yours. It's a group. It's a mix mash of riding styles and different settings. It's a compromise, that everybody agrees to.
Oh yeah. We've definitely had that. Because typically I'm the bigger rider, at 6'4", over 200 pounds. My teammates are still not anywhere near my stature.
Yeah.
So yeah, trying to find a compromise in a setting that still works for me and still works for them, and for us to be competitive is definitely tough.
Right. And what is the transition like going from was it SV 650 to the 1000 machine that you're on in the MotoAmerica paddock?
Oh, it is a huge difference. Last year, we did the endurance race at Pittsburgh on the SB, and I did the practice the Friday before on my ZX10, and I felt like I could check emails going down the straightaway while I was
Yeah.
on the SB. Just it definitely helped kind of for the endurance race, just because you know things still happen quickly, but not near as fast as they happen on the ZX10. Just you get to that next corner so fast that it sometimes to ride the SB, it's nice to kind of have that little bit of time that
Yeah.
you're heading down to the straightaway to the next corner.
I mean, it might be you're still racing, but it might be a little bit more relaxing, right?
It is. It definitely is. But just kind of remembering to keep the corner speed up, because definitely my first few laps on the SV, I kind of ride it like I'm on a 1000, and the power is just not there.
Kind of point and shoot your corners instead of taking that roll speed.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very good. And I think you have another great sponsor, Arai, for a helmet that keeps you
Yeah.
safe and keeps your noggin in good condition for all those falls and spills that are inevitable.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to be partnered with some great companies, Arai being one of them. Especially when you take some nasty tumbles, having a good helmet on your head to help protect yourself is vital. And the support that I've had from Arai has been fantastic because, definitely over the course of the years, I've had my fair share of off-road excursions.
Yeah. And I had a question for you. There's factory and then there's privateer, but there's also people who are kind of in between that. I don't know what you call them. What would you consider yourself, and where do you fit into that those categories there?
Oh, I'm definitely full-on privateer. Um, I'm owner of the team, and I handle every single aspect of the team. It'd definitely be great to have some factory support from Kawasaki. Uh, as the sport grows, I can definitely see them, coming with more support. Maybe even having their own like fully backed team. Being ran by somebody. But it'd be great to have them back. We have um, Honda in the stock 1000 class right now, so it's great to see some of the manufacturers kind of making their way back into the sport.
Yeah, there's quite a few now. We got Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda, Ducati. Is there any more I'm missing? I don't think MV has a 1000.
No MVs or Aprilias. But yeah, we got a couple Ducatis out in the field too, and so it's great that we're kind of we're getting a lot of manufacturers involved one way or another.
It's cool to see the progression of Kyle with his Ducati, and PJ now is on the same type of bike, and they're kind of having some problems at the last round with the overheating. That we're not usually in Atlanta in the middle of summer like this, so we have a little different temperatures, and even I think overseas they're having some, I don't know if it was tire temperature issues from the weather with Formula One, where they had some tire issues, but yeah, the machines don't always operate the same way, the same track, the same temperatures. It changes everywhere you go. Different elevations. The bikes don't have enough power because the oxygen levels are reduced. So yeah,
Mhm.
it depends, and there's so many factors in a race weekend that you just don't have control over.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we unfortunately did have a little bit of a technical issue at Road Atlanta last weekend, so that unfortunately I had to retire early from race two. Uh, it was definitely a bummer because I was kind of excited. I got a pretty good start, which is not my forte. The launch is not something that I'm great at, and able to move up a couple spots and be on the tail end of a few guys that were a little bit faster than me, and really thought I had a chance to kind of latch onto them and see if we could dice it up and maybe make up a few spots. But kind of like you said, that's racing. Things happen. We'll get it sorted out for Pittsburgh next weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of the teams, I'm sure, didn't have as much time for testing, and that would be a factor as to why some of these things are popping up that weren't diagnosed before because they never knew they were problems.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And so everybody's starting from scratch with this whole COVID thing, for sure.
It's been an extremely interesting year. Just every from when Road America was announced, that at least I'm sure everybody felt the same way, where it kind of felt like we were maybe a little scrambling a little bit to get things put together for it, because we didn't really know if we were going to have even a season or not.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted to go back to, you mentioned your starts. You said you weren't so good at your starts. Um, you also said you were over 200 pounds. Is that
Yeah.
so? I remember when I was racing, one of my things that I was always really good at was the starts. I'm also, when I was racing, 150 pounds. So, that's at least 50 pounds difference. And I know you can't lose 50 pounds. That's just not probably physically possible for you to do that.
No, it'd be definitely really tough for me. I've I've tried adapting my diet and changing the way I work out a little bit to kind of lean out, but You know, I'm a former ball sports player. You know, I was a basketball player. So kind of having that muscle mass on me is just something I've always had, and definitely would be tough to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah, for
And
someone
you know,
who's 6'4", I don't expect you to be at 150. That's not realistic. I wonder if it's maybe more fair if instead of, I think they just weigh the bike, right? They don't weigh, maybe they weigh you, but it's not part of the equation. The bike is what matters. So what
yeah,
if you had a bike and rider ballast combination so that every rider in the field and bike was the same weight? Now, I'm not for that because I'm a light guy, but honestly,
yeah.
like it kind of makes sense. That would make it more fair. Do you think?
It it would level the playing field in some ways, but I do think in a sense that my my height can help in some areas, um, because I am taller and I am longer. It does allow me to kind of move my center mass around a lot more. So I can use my body to help move the bike around a little bit easier than some of the smaller guys in the field that, they have to wrestle with it definitely more than I do. So over the course of a race, it may work into my favor.
Yeah, you probably have to use less energy, I would think.
Yeah, I'd probably say I'm probably a little less tired than some of the guys in the field, just because it doesn't take as much effort for me, especially a track like Road Atlanta, where there's a lot of transitions and a lot of fast transitions that me being able to use my size and my strength to maneuver the bike through the S's is makes it a little bit easier for me.
Yeah. And I don't remember when you started track riding. So tell me about a little bit about your lineage and how you started getting into the track. And when was that?
It is actually the most random thing ever,
Yeah.
really. I never really rode anything with two wheels and a motor in my life up until I was around 22, and I was kind of saving up for a sports car, and ended up just going to a dealership with a friend of mine. We're just like, hey, let's uh, let's act like we're gonna get motorcycles and see what kind of deal we're gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, that guy was a heck of a salesman because we both walked out with two new motorcycles.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I kind of made some friends at the dealership, and they're talking about track days. So I jumped in and did a handful of them one summer, and literally it's just one of the guys that worked at the dealership. He's just like, "Hey, I'm gonna start racing next year. You should too." And I was just, the competitive side of me was just like, yeah, I definitely want to do that. Because track days were fun. Now we're gonna throw in the competitiveness of trying to, beat somebody else. That yeah, I just kind of jumped in and did that, and I was I progressed through track days pretty quickly. I went from beginner to intermediate to advanced pretty quickly, and would be one of the faster guys in advanced. And I was thinking, oh man, racing's gonna be nothing. This is gonna be easy. This might be what I'm supposed to be doing. And my very first race, I was dead last. I got absolutely blown away by everybody in the field. It was the biggest piece of humble pie ever that I quickly realized
Yeah.
uh, race pace is a lot faster than track day pace.
There's just so much to learn.
Oh yeah, it really is. So yeah, I just kind of came up through the WERA ranks on the 600, and just about a year ago, actually decided to make the jump to the 1000, mainly just because I'm a bigger guy. So, you know, the leader bikes are just slightly bigger size wise, but also just the bump in horsepower might offset just my size as well.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys go to the 1000s who are a little bigger, trying to get rid of that disadvantage with the 600. You don't see it as much with the 1000.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of an equalizer. Just the modern leader bikes are
Yeah.
so ridiculously fast. It's insane.
Yeah. And so you've had to change your riding style, I'm sure, a little bit to accommodate that, to maybe point and shoot more, not carry as much corner speed at sometimes.
Yeah, that's something I'm still working on. I still ride like I'm on a 600
Yeah.
a little bit to an extent, and that's probably just my riding style. So it's something I'm trying to work on, but also kind of make the bike work for my riding style as well.
Yeah.
So it's I have a new sponsor that's come on board with DMR Performance Suspensions,
Okay.
and Jamie's been at all the rounds with me, so he's been kind of help being my chassis guy, and that's been nice because I've never really had a suspension tuner to
Yeah.
just work directly with me.
It's so
So
valuable to have that right in your back pocket to just say, hey, I'm feeling this in corner 3. What should I do? It's like, oh, yeah, do this. It's like, oh, well, I would have never thought of that.
yeah, it's kind of coming up through the ranks is kind of a cool feeling to have somebody that I can just pull into pit lane and be like, hey, it's doing this and this and this, and he'll just tweak the suspension for me and go back out, and could be better, could be worse. But I mean, we've made a lot of progress in getting the bike set up for me, and it's definitely helped a lot. I've gotten a lot more comfortable on the motorcycle, and it has taken some time. Um, Road America round 2, we had some issues that honestly I only had 14 flying laps the entire weekend.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. We had some other issues that slowed us down, and it just took me too long to get up to pace.
Yeah. That's doesn't seem like a lot of laps. I just saw something on social media. I was scrolling through. It said that some race event was going to have one practice session and then it was straight to qualifying and race. I was like, and you've never been to that track before. You got 20 minutes to go figure out how to go as fast as possible and then go race it next session. It's like, I mean, if you're a professional, sure, but
Oh
most
yeah.
schools, that's tough.
That's real tough for a lot of people, and that's definitely one thing I've noticed. You're making this jump to Moto America this year is these top guys in every class, really. It's insane how quickly they get up to pace,
Yeah. They're
and
not fooling
and in
around
all
out there, putzing around, like feeling out the track. No, they're not. They're just go 100%.
oh yeah, it's absolutely insane. Guys like Cam Peterson and Corey Alexander, they're not wasting any time
No.
getting up to pace,
Yeah.
and it definitely puts a little pressure on guys like me who are still trying to get some things sorted out. But that's part of the challenge. I like kind of having the challenge too, so we'll get there.
And you're doing the full season. Is that stock 1000?
Yep. So we are currently set up to do the full season. Uh, Pretty excited about that, especially with some of the tracks that we're going to. Um, Laguna Seca is a track that I've always wanted to go to. Being from Fort Wayne, Indiana, I'm just 2 hours north of Indianapolis. I used to go to the MotoGP races and watch when they were down there. So, you know, I guess fingers crossed that we'll still get the chance to race
Yeah.
at those venues later this year. That would definitely be something really cool just to even just to check off the list.
Yeah, and so there's a couple of tracks on the schedule that you haven't even been to. Laguna Seca, probably the Ridge in Washington. Indy, nobody's been to. So at least 3 tracks. If you've been to Road America, I think before, and probably Road Atlanta. I think I rode there with you. Um,
Yeah.
um, I'm not sure every track that we're going to this year. Probably VIR, New Jersey, maybe.
So VIR I've been to. I've only been a couple of times, never on the 1000. It's unfortunate that one ended up getting canceled. We got New Jersey later in the year. I've been there one time on a 600, so I at least know which direction it goes.
Can help. It's very
Yeah, the Ridge, never even seen ever. The videos that I've seen from MotoAmerica's Instagram or other writers' social media that have been there, it looks like a really cool track. It definitely looks like a fun track. Laguna Seca, again, I know which direction it goes because I've played it on video games, but I'm sure turn one's going to be very different
yeah.
actually on the bike than in the video game.
Right. You don't see the landscape go by you in the video game and have that much
Yeah.
effect as it does when you're really on the bike in person, seeing it like, wow, there's a lot of elevation here.
Oh yeah. And that's something that's really hard to tell in video games, and even when you're just watching the races on TV, that seeing the elevation changes that are at some of these tracks, it's really hard to grasp it.
I would like
Even
I would like to see the grade percentage of the elevation on the certain embankments, because I remember walking to Road Atlanta and looking at that last corner. It's like, are you kidding me? This is what we're doing here? It looks ridiculous. And I'm on my bicycle a lot lately. I'm getting a lot of
yeah.
miles in on the pedal bike, and some of the places around here are up to 8% uphill grade. And that to me, I'm like, I'm in first gear in the chain ring on the front and the back, trying to shift down further. So I would just like to see some of those grade percentages, because they've got to be higher than 8%.
Oh yeah, I have no idea what it is, but definitely that drop into the last corner at Road Atlanta is it. I'm glad it's one of the first things that people see when they drive in,
Yeah,
because it's crazy how steep that is. Even the stretch leading into the chicane, coming off the back
exactly.
straightaway, you just kind of all of a sudden crest that hill, and then shortly after there's the 5 board.
Yeah. It would be
These
cool to have done the gravity cavity at Road Atlanta, the old layout that they had, where you
Yeah.
like there would be so much G forces that people would G out and hit their body work on the ground, cars and bikes.
Oh yeah. Jamie, my suspension guy, and Kirk with Grosser, they're both former racers, and they've both raced there back with the old layout, and every time I go to Road Atlanta, they tell me about how it was and how insane gravity cavity was. And
Yeah,
I even remember when I first started watching the superbike races, and they were still using the old last corner
yeah,
going through there, and even that was fast. Like
sketchy.
I I I still remember watching those races thinking I could never do that,
Yeah.
and well, now I'm here trying to do that.
Well, you're doing it now. I mean, you're not trying, you are doing it.
Yeah.
You're
Oh
out.
yeah.
I would love to be out there. I would love to be just. I don't even care where I finish. The first step is just get back out there and then worry about where you're finishing. For me, anyways.
Yeah, the competitive side of me gets frustrated with where I'm at in the field, because I would just like to be up further. But yeah, sometimes I do kind of have to take a step back and look. Like, the competition that I'm facing is no joke. Even in the stock 1000 class, those the top guys in the class are, they're national champions. They have quite the resume on themselves. So for a guy that kind of just randomly decided to race, to even be able to qualify in a race with those guys, it's something I do kind of have to remind myself, like, it's this is definitely no joke, and not everybody's able to even have the opportunity to try to do this.
Yeah. Or even want to, or have the balls to, or the money to, or the funds, or the time, to dedicate to it.
Yeah,
There's a
there's
lot of
definitely a lot of
barriers.
things that got to play into it just to make a season happen.
For sure. And we were talking about that last corner at Road Atlanta. I've actually crashed there. It wasn't like a full-on crash. I was qualifying for WERA National 600 Superstock qualifying at Road Atlanta there, and I had just gone a little too wide. I didn't crash. I went into the gravel, but it's really, really thick pea gravel, so you can't really get out of it very easily. It's
Yeah.
you in really quick. And so I was bucking and weaving, and I ended up the bike came to a stop, and I ran away. I didn't even fall down. I ran, and I broke 2 zip ties on my bodywork. That was it. So that was the cheapest crash I ever had. It was awesome.
The the gravel at Road Atlanta could definitely do some things to your bike. I had a moment coming out of turn 5 years ago that it's somehow like ripped my foot peg off the rear set,
Yeah.
but also my shifter lever was just dangling there. So I had finished out the race just in third gear with no left foot peg. Like every left corner, I'm just almost, flat tracking it where I'm just pulling my leg up as high as I can to try to finish the race.
It's those people do those drills where you can't use a foot peg, or you butt to your seat, or you don't have a handlebar. Those are tough, but they train you for incidents like those.
Yeah.
And you got Pittsburgh coming up next. Is that
Mhm. Yep.
next weekend's Pittsburgh? And I haven't rode the new configuration since they redid the pavement, since they made the south portion of the track. I hear that's a really cool section to go on.
It's an absolute blast. What they've done to the track ever since it was Beeve Run, is amazing. The surface itself is one of the smoothest surfaces I've ever ridden.
Oh yeah, wow,
Um,
that's
and
high
just
praise.
what's that?
That's high praise. I mean, you've rode Barber, you've rode some world level circuits already.
Yeah, it's definitely right up there with tracks like Barber. Just as far as it seems like how well they've taken care of the track service. It's really in a lot of places it's really smooth, but the the addition that they've added to it is definitely great. The S's section is again me kind of being a guy who tries to carry more corner speed and you know, kind of uh, suffers on the exit a little bit. Those are sections where I I might have an opportunity to do a little bit better.
Yeah,
So I'm definitely excited about Pittsburgh because the layout of the track is definitely something that might lend itself to my riding style a little bit more.
sure. Yeah, I think they should. Well, it doesn't really matter for this year, but to make it more like Barber, they don't really have too many embankments. Well, I guess they have a hill that you can sit on, but I was just thinking maybe they could put in a couple more grandstands up, and then you'd be right there with some of the best tracks.
Yeah, it'd definitely be cool if they had a lot more areas for the fans to spectate because
Yeah.
they do have the hill there
Yep.
that it's great that they can see the majority of the track. But yeah, there's definitely sections of the track that fans don't get to see. When we disappear behind, I don't know, I think it's like turn 3 or something, and we end up coming back up the hill
Yeah.
toward the north side of the course. They don't fans don't really get to see that part of the track, and there's actually some action that can happen there because it's a pretty good braking zone that's heading into the chicane right there, and then you're heading down the hill. Um, so I would assume that they have plans to do something like that in the future,
Yeah.
but Yeah, it'd definitely be cool if it was like a track like Road Atlanta or Road America or Barber, where there's kind of a lot of areas for spectators to go and check out the track.
And they even have some TV screens up at some of the events. You can maybe see yourself go by.
Yeah, Road America is the only track where I noticed a TV screen.
Yeah.
Um,
And
Heading
these are like
into,
30-foot wide TV screens.
yeah, it was huge. There's definitely one I noticed in turn 3 that there's a big, so I could see kind of what was going on there. Um, and I was kind of as it was getting late in the race, it was kind of my check to see were the leaders coming up on me or not.
You get out of the way. Do you see blue flags pretty often?
um, I actually didn't see any at Road Atlanta this past round. So the front runners did end up catching up to me in race 1, and I don't remember seeing any. So I didn't really have the opportunity to get out of the way.
Oh,
But it was kind of all in sections where they could get by pretty cleanly. I haven't rewatched the race yet, so I don't know if I affected the outcome for anybody. If I did, sorry. Uh,
yeah. I mean, I'm 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 all for, yeah, let's get out of the way. But also, I love lap traffic. I love that because it just opens up so many opportunities. You could say opportunities to screw you up, sure, but you could say the opposite as well, that you could get by and the guy behind you gets screwed up and you got now a gap and you have a buffer. So I always like,
yeah,
I try to, I mean, you want to make a safe pass, but whenever possible, try to get by that lapper right before the corner so that you know the next guy behind you probably won't
yeah,
be able to unless he's on your rear tire. So there's a lot of strategy there. I remember getting past the lapper at Road Atlanta in one of the races I was doing, and it was coming up turn 1, and you know how there's the pit exit line, the yellow line that everybody follows up there? The
hmm,
lapper was right on the yellow line. The guy I was racing with went on the outside of him, and I went on the inside of him. And now I'm like dragging my knee in the grass here because this guy's coming further in, and we zoomed right past them, the guys in the middle, I thought that was so cool. You don't get to do that very often. I felt like we probably scared him a little bit. No blue flags in WERA.
yeah. Weir doesn't have any blue flags, so it can definitely get fun when you're coming up on the lap traffic, especially when you're battling with somebody. The lead guy definitely, I would say, has the advantage because
Yeah.
if everybody kind of gets stuck behind, there's not really too much of an advantage. But yeah, if that front guy can kind of just make the quick move and get by, and especially as you move up, even at the expert level, and when you catch lap traffic, it's not very likely you're going to spook somebody when you come up on them, because everybody's kind of experienced enough at that point that they can hold their line. They're going to be fine. So it should be fine. When Corey Alexander and those guys kind of came through, um, it was kind of an opportunity for me because I got to watch them at race pace for a
For
little
sure.
bit.
You get to learn a
So
little bit. If you can
just
follow
try.
a couple corners, you can learn something from them.
Yeah, I definitely tried to learn what I could, because I'm kind of surprised at how um, how often I don't really see those guys throughout practice and qualifying sessions. So
Yeah.
uh, there really isn't a lot of opportunities unless I made one to try to slot in behind one of those guys. But even at that point, my pace is still quite a bit slower. That I'd still only get to see them for a few corners.
Sure. Yeah, and it's I mean, there's just such a disparity sometimes in lap time and skill level. They're basically, you could say, somewhat factory supported, or I don't know what their budgets look like. I have no idea, but um
Yeah,
riding at a very high level for a long time. You know,
Oh yeah.
these are not 3-digit plate holders, right? These are plate holders sometimes. So it's very, very different. Everybody's at different levels. You know, you just gotta fight to your own skill level, and hopefully you're making improvements.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, my goal is really to just kind of keep improving, and you just try to keep moving up the field in the stock thousand class. Uh, Hopefully next year we still have the Superbike Cup, and I would hope to be at the pace to compete in the Superbike Cup. It's kind of cool to be able to do both, to be able to head out with a practice session with the Superbike guys,
Yeah.
and hopefully in a couple of years we'll get all things sorted out, and we can just go full Superbike and see what we got for Cambobier and Tony Elias and the rest of those
Awesome.
guys.
You know, for most people, it's just finding the budget to do it. If I had the budget, I'd do it tomorrow. But
Oh yeah.
you know, and I'm trying to work on my business, trying to sell enough products through EricSwannRacing.com and Shop ESR and my eBay store and Amazon and Craigslist and all these different places, so that one day I can afford to go back and do that. So it's inspiring to see people like you who I've raced with many times, and to see you still at it and still progressing. I would just love to be back out there with you, man.
Yeah, you're definitely a guy that has the pace to be out there with us. You were a quick guy. You were a guy that I was chasing there.
Yeah, yeah. It's the very first year I ever raced as a novice. Obviously, I wouldn't have had enough points or experience to race professionally. However, my time at Barber would have been fast enough to qualify for the pro event. The very first year I ever raced anything as a novice.
Wow.
I would have been a back marker, sure, but I would have qualified and entered and hopefully finished the race. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
just that alone gives me so much confidence. And I just gotta get the funds, man. I gotta find a dump truck full of money.
When you find one, let me know where it is, and I'll start looking there for one too. Because yeah, your racing is very expensive. You can definitely find ways to try to cut costs. We've all slept in the truck or slept in the trailer, or tried to do what we can to save a little money that is going to get us another set of tires, or something along those lines. So it's there's a lot of people out there just I guess trying to do what they can to do it, and it's definitely something that is just, it has to be a passion for
Oh
you,
yeah, for sure.
because it's entirely too expensive. It's too dangerous to not be out there having fun.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too personal with your budget or anything. You can tell me to stop whenever, but maybe talk about how did you get this financed, or how are you able to get this to fruition? Is it something that just personally done, or you got people helping you out, or?
Yeah, so I have some people helping me out. So I do have a few sponsors, and a few people that back me financially. In some ways, there's still a good amount of it that comes out of my own pocket. So just gotta train a few more clients, or work a little bit harder to make a little bit more money, just to try to make sure you know we have the budget we need to go out there and do it. Just saving where you can. So yeah, there's some sponsors that are backing me financially to help get me to the rounds. But yeah, my budget is definitely nowhere near probably a lot of people's in the paddock.
Yeah, and now that you're basically on TV, you can offer them a lot more marketing than you could for WERA.
Yeah, a little bit. There's definitely opportunities. I have a few shining moments here and there on TV. I heard it a long time ago that if you want all the TV time, you got to be top three. So um, it, so it's you get a little bit of time for sure, but also being there at the races with all the fans.
Yeah,
Um,
makes a difference.
in today's world, it's with all the social media and stuff. It to me, I do think it makes it a little bit easier for people to try to put themselves out there and make themselves marketable.
Sure.
The biggest thing is be you. Don't try to be anybody else. You'll attract the following that's yours, and in the same token, you're going to attract sponsors that are like you or looking for people like you, and you know then that's just kind of how those things sometimes come to happen.
Yeah.
You've been in racing, that it also comes down to building relationships with
Yes.
people.
Yep. Can't
So
burn
it's
those bridges for sure. You have to be nice to your sponsors and provide them with what they're looking for. You can't just ghost anybody. Obviously, you have
yeah.
a good reputation. You can't be getting DUIs and getting arrested and whatever. Um, None of that stuff.
Yeah, and that kind of goes along with needing to be marketable. Um, there could be some companies that want the bad boy out there, but that they may think even bad press is still press. But I would probably not advise it.
Right. Like the most man in the world, maybe kind of
What's that?
like the
Yeah,
most interesting man in the world.
yeah. So but you're figuring out what your niche is, and everything will kind of fall into place with that. Um,
And some of the reason I'm doing this podcast is to talk to awesome people like you, but also to get my name out there more and to market myself and to get better public speaking, better in front. I mean, it's not technically live, but getting better in front of talking to people, and just the more you do it, the better you get. And hopefully somebody will see this one day and be like, hey, we should give that guy a ride.
I'll back that up. Somebody should give that guy a ride.
Thank you.
Um,
It means a lot.
I'd love to see you out in super sport or something like that. It's a class that we race together in the 600s. So I know it's something you could get figured out and get out there and do at a competitive level too.
I really think so, and I'm so passionate about motorcycle racing. I'm willing to build an entire business from scratch to try to fund it. So I'm not giving up, and yeah, I raced at a whole bunch of different tracks, and I had pretty competitive lap times. I mean, I wasn't pro level speed, but I was able to qualify for pretty much any round that I went to based on the lap time. Um, and I did it with zero budget. I mean, I had some sponsors here and there, but you saw my bike when I was first started, man. I didn't even paint it. I had duct tape number plates, and I was towing
Yep.
Pontiac Sunfire in a Harbor Freight open trailer I built myself with my old street bike. I had no money when I was started, and just like you, I had no plan. I had no plan to race. I just wanted to go to the track and do track days,
Yep.
and I found out I was already faster than people who were racing. So I'm like, I'm just gonna try this racing thing. So so yeah, and I'd love to get into karting and cars, but one thing at a time.
Yeah. You definitely got to get all those things take budgets.
Yep.
So the
Here I
cars thing.
decided. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, the cars thing would definitely be cool to do one day. Since not really anybody in my family rides, I'm sure they would prefer that I raced a car than a motorcycle.
Yeah,
Just having that cage around me, they'd love that.
right. A little
Um,
safer maybe.
but no, I always thought it'd be cool to race like an open wheel car, like
Oh
an
yeah.
Indy car or something like that. That would just be be so cool. I think the speed of a Formula One car might scare me, but who knows?
Yeah, it's just man, I feel like if I had the right budget, if I had the right maybe I don't know the right people or I haven't met the right people networking wise, that I could be out there and competing at a high level, whether many different forms of motorsport. It could be motorcycle road racing is what I have the most experience with, but I'm also very fast in a kart. I did the kart racing at Pittsburgh, where they had the United States Pro Kart Series track, and we did like a reverse grid qualify race, feature race, and I won the event, and I beat the guy who worked there. And he said, "Who are you? Who are who are you?" Like he was mad. Like, and I said, "I'm coming. I'm from motorcycles. I just stopped by for fun." He's like, "You're fast. You're really fast." And I've done the only endurance racing I've done is actually kart racing. There's a local kart place that has timing and scoring near my house, so you can see your lap times. And I think at one point they had 200,000 or so people do a lap, and I was 25th out of 200,000
Wow.
people. So,
Wow.
right up there with the fastest people. And some of these guys who do the kart racing leagues that I've done, I mean, these aren't shifter karts. These are just like 45, maybe 40-mile-an-hour karts, but they're
Okay.
fast, And some of these guys who do this are professional car drivers, and I'm competing right there with them. So I like to just be competitive and in the motorsports aspect of it.
Yeah.
I've been doing mountain bike racing and foot racing. You can see all these different plaques and things. Those are all foot races and mountain bike races that I've been doing since I got out of motorcycle racing. I didn't retire. I'm just taking a hiatus. So yeah, I'm still out there racing, but just different forms right now.
Yeah. Well, I hope to see you back out on the motorcycle grids. I mean, whether it's WERA or you end up coming to MotoAmerica to show the country what you got. But yeah, I definitely hope you get the chance.
I heard on I was watching one of the broadcasts recently of the last races, and they said the cutoff is 55 years old. So I have a few years until they're gonna cancel me from going on there. And what if at 56, like at 55, I won the championship? Would they say you can't come back, or would they change the rule? Like, I don't know.
I could see them changing the rule. I would be willing to bet. I'm pretty sure Josh Hayes is still a ways away from 55, but if he wanted to give it another go, I can't imagine they wouldn't allow him on the grid, because coming from WERA, there's some older guys that they're still fast. They're still
Yeah,
really
man.
fast.
I raced a guy, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry. I raced a guy at Nelson Ledges with Moto Series, and he must have been in his mid 70s. And this guy was no slouch. Like, this guy gave me problems, and I was like, he took the helmet off. I was like, okay, Gramps, like, what just happened here? He was extremely talented, but in a way, I felt embarrassed. I was like, how did I not like get away from this guy, him being so old? And you can still compete. I mean, you don't want to fall down as much. Obviously, you want to be a little more careful, but
Yeah.
he was very fast, and I was impressed. And that made me think, like, wow, maybe racing's not over at 30. Like, people quit or retire when they're 28. I'm like, what? I'm 28 now. Like, and I'm not racing, so I have the rest of my life to do it. I would like to be doing it at my peak prime physical shape, but if financially I can't, I'm not going to go broke doing it. So I'm going to do it the smart way.
Right.
And I'm going to be that guy who's 75, 80 years old, still racing something. I'm going to be that guy. That's what I want. I mean, my name is on the business, Eric Swahn Racing. I race everything. So
Yeah, I mean, you keep up with the running races and the bicycle races, you won't have to worry about being in peak physical condition, well into your 30s. You're going to be just fine.
and that's the idea, My brother does full Ironman triathlons. He's done 4 of them now. He's training for his 5th one. And
Wow.
imagine if I was at Ironman shape and I go back to a sport bike. I'm going to kick everybody's ass because I've been training on my bicycle all this time and I have all this previous knowledge of racing that I'm still doing. I mean, yeah, it's going to take me a few track days to get back to my race pace. I did a track day in 2018 and I felt like I was the slowest guy out there. I was like, oh no. But it's just, I didn't have the feel, and I also didn't want to crash the bike I just fixed, you know?
Yeah, it takes some time, even coming back from the off season of trying to shake off those cobwebs and get back up to race pace. And I definitely think that's something that's affected a lot of people this year. This, I don't know how much testing a lot of people even really got to do. I know I had plans to go to Jennings a few times that things didn't work out. So it's even just coming off of an off season, trying to shake off the cobwebs, it takes some time. But I know a few people that have taken some hiatuses from racing, and they came back, and they figured it out, because once you're fast, you know how to be fast, and you can get back to it for sure.
Yeah, it's learning it is the hard part. Now getting back to that is, I mean, it's maybe still difficult, but much less difficult than it would be learning it for the first time, I think. Right? So it's
Oh
different.
yeah.
So
Yeah, learning to be fast is tough, because you have to take risks to get there, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's a tough thing. I'm not saying anybody has to crash to learn how to be fast, but I think it just happens as you try to find that line.
in a way, I think it might be beneficial, because at one end of it, you're learning how dangerous it is, and you're learning to respect it. Because a lot of times you don't respect it, and then it throws you on your butt, and you're like, oh, whoa, there's some consequences here. So it teaches you, forces you to be more smooth so that it doesn't happen again. And when you do find that line, you know where it is quicker, because some people tiptoe around that line for 6 years before they find that line. And if you find it, I mean, you don't want to find it your first track day. That's not the time. Right? But if you find
Yeah,
it a
you
little
want to build a
quicker
little
than the next
confidence.
guy, yeah, you don't want to throw it down the road your first day. Just get through it. A lot of times I just think if it's bad conditions, you're not feeling good, just get through it. The whole point is just to finish. Like, you don't have to win everything. Just finish. If it's raining out, put it in a gear higher and just go a little slower. You can still race. You just can't try to win.
Yeah, and honestly, that was actually the advice that I've gotten from like a guy like Mark Jung, who's he's fat, he's still fast, but he's a pretty well-known guy. He's done some superbike stuff, and in the rain, that was kind of his advice to me too, is just go gear higher into the corners. You don't really have to change too much.
No,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I haven't had an incredible amount of experience in the rain to really try a whole bunch of things out. But I would definitely encourage anybody who's trying to become faster and become more comfortable. Seat time is seat time. Especially when you're trying to learn. So, you know, don't wait for the super sunny day, track day every single time. Go out there. Understand that the track conditions are going to be what they're going to be. You're not going to set the lap record probably anyway. So just get out there and try to learn something.
The very first time, or the only time, I was bumped from novice to intermediate in track days. It was raining out. It was pouring at Gingerman, probably 2011. And it was only me and 2 other instructors. And one of the other instructors actually crashed. So I was the only person who paid for the event that was out there in that session. And they said, okay, well, you're obviously skilled enough to ride in this. So that's when I got my bump from novice to intermediate. It was pouring rain on DOT tires, no rains, and I just said, I'm going to get through it. And actually, that's when nobody told me to go a gear higher. I came into the pits and I noticed, wait a minute, there's another gear down there. I just accidentally did it. And then I realized that's why I didn't crash. And that's why I was more smooth, because I was in a gear taller and I didn't realize. So sometimes those mistakes help you out a lot. But we're going to try to cap this at an hour. So we got about a minute left here. So let's kind of wrap things up. And I appreciate you for coming on today, Josh. And we both got our busy schedules, but we were able to work it in.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'd love to have you on again. And where can people find you online? Where are you on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube?
I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook at Josh Gerardot. I do have a TikTok. So yeah, I'm one of those guys. I got a TikTok. Same thing. Everything's at Josh Gerardot. So, there's some racing stuff on my TikTok, but if you want to see me dance, that's, I do that too.
Very good. Well, we'll send all the ladies over there, right? So again, appreciate you for coming on. I'll probably edit this and post this pretty soon here. And good luck at your next race.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thanks, Josh. Talk to you soon.
All right, we'll see ya.
Bye-bye.